You know that feeling, endlessly scrolling through your phone just to escape stress or loneliness. Whether you're a university student, a working professional, or a homemaker, this has become a shared behavior. In fact, all of us are doing it. And it feels like a harmless escape, right? But here's the catch. It's not. This habit has a name: emotional avoidance. It's when we run away from uncomfortable emotions instead of facing them. And the more we avoid, the more we disconnect from ourselves. So why has this become so common in our lives? What's the science behind it? How is it silently affecting our mental health? And most importantly, what can we do to deal with it in a healthier way? Let's break it down. What is emotional avoidance? Emotional avoidance. It's something we all do, often without even realizing it. It means running away from uncomfortable emotions like sadness, anxiety, or fear by distracting ourselves. Maybe we binge watch an entire series, scroll endlessly through social media, or stay busy just to avoid being alone with our thoughts. And sure, it gives us a temporary break. Now you might think, what's the harm in a little distraction? Everyone does it, right? But here's the thing. When that distraction becomes your default response to stress, it turns into avoidance. And the more we avoid, the more those feelings pile up beneath the surface. That's when things get serious. Your mental health starts to decline. You get irritable more often. You feel drained even after resting, without even realizing it. And your ability to understand and manage emotions, what we call emotional intelligence, begins to weaken. In short, avoiding your emotions might feel easier today, but it makes life much harder tomorrow. In today's world, screens have become our easiest escape route, and it's not just entertainment, it's emotional survival. Let's start with doom scrolling. You open your phone thinking you'll check one thing, but minutes turn into hours. Negative news, endless posts, controversies, all flooding your mind. What we don't realize is we're not just staying informed, we're avoiding our own emotions. And here's what science says. Multiple studies have found that constant exposure to negative news, especially on social media, increases levels of anxiety and depression. Then comes binge watching. Platforms like Netflix are designed to keep us hooked. One episode becomes 5 and suddenly it's 2 a.m. We tell ourselves we're relaxing, but often we're just avoiding stress, loneliness, or emotional discomfort. And of course, social media. It gives us dopamine hits with every like, every notification. But behind the highlight reels of others' lives, we feel more isolated, more inadequate. The irony? We keep scrolling to avoid those exact feelings. The endless feed, the false sense of connection, it numbs us. But at what cost? Screens provide immediate distractions that seem to work as quick fixes for feelings of boredom, loneliness, or stress. Instead of facing emotions, we turn to content that makes us feel better in the moment. In an age where real-life connections are harder to maintain, social media and gaming platforms offer us a pseudo-connection, which can feel less daunting than confronting real-world issues or our emotional discomfort. Here's what's happening inside your brain. Every time you check your phone, whether it's a like, a message, or a new video, your brain releases a small dose of dopamine. It's the same chemical linked to pleasure and reward. This creates a feedback loop. The more you scroll, the more dopamine you get, and the more you want to keep scrolling. It feels good temporarily, but there's a hidden cost. Over time, your brain starts depending on these quick dopamine hits. You become less sensitive to them. And this is where the problem begins. It leads to emotional numbing. You don't feel as much joy or sadness or even connection because your brain is stuck chasing the next quick high. This is not just a theory, it's backed by neuroscience. Studies have shown that overuse of digital media can rewire the brain's reward pathways, making real-life emotions feel flat, dull, or even overwhelming. So far, we've seen why we fall into emotional avoidance. But now, let's look at the real price we pay for chasing this instant gratification. Because behind every scroll, every click, and every binge, there's a hidden cost. And it's much deeper than just wasted time. The biggest cost? Our mental health. When we use screens to avoid our emotions, the root cause of stress, sadness, or anxiety never gets resolved. It just gets buried. And with time, that emotional weight builds up. This is why emotional avoidance is strongly linked to increased anxiety, depression, and even loneliness. Constantly comparing our lives to filtered highlights of others makes us question our own worth. Multiple studies have shown that the more time we spend on social media, the more likely we are to feel anxious, inadequate, and even depressed. Cognitive overload. We're consuming information all day long. News, posts, reels, ads. Our brains were never meant to process this much at once. And this cognitive overload, it leads to mental fatigue, stress, and confusion. Not to mention sleep. The blue light from screens suppresses melatonin, the hormone that tells our body it's time to rest. So even when we try to sleep, our minds stay restless, and the stress cycle continues. Emotional numbness. The more we avoid emotions, the more disconnected we become from them. It's like muting the very signals our body uses to guide us. Over time, this leads to emotional numbness, a state where we struggle to understand or even feel our own emotions. And without emotional awareness, regulating or expressing those emotions becomes almost impossible. So what's the alternative? If we're not escaping into screens, then how do we actually deal with difficult emotions? Here are a few strategies, backed by science, and more importantly, by results. Mindfulness and meditation. No, you don't have to become a monk. Just spend a few minutes noticing your thoughts without reacting to them. That's mindfulness. Studies show that this simple habit can reduce anxiety, improve focus, and help you respond, instead of just react, to stress. Journaling. Feeling something hard to explain? Write it down. Journaling isn't about being poetic, it's about clearing mental clutter. Research even shows that expressive writing reduces stress and helps organize emotional chaos into clarity. Move your body. Whether it's a workout or just a walk, movement changes your mental state. It releases endorphins, lowers stress hormones, and gives your brain something it actually needs, a physical reset. Real connections over reels. Texting can't replace talking. Likes can't replace real love. Spend time with people, not profiles. Face-to-face connection provides the emotional grounding that screens just can't. Rethink your thoughts. CBT, or cognitive behavioral therapy, isn't about positive thinking. It's about accurate thinking. It teaches you to spot your own mental traps and break the loop of avoidance with real problem solving. So, which of these strategies do you connect with the most? Let me know in the comments. Have you tried any of them to break your screen habits? And if you haven't yet, no problem. I've already made a detailed video on how to get rid of social media in a practical, step-by-step way. You can watch it right here, and I'll see you there.